This is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. It's time now for one of our interview segments, and our segments, as usual, are presented by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. A lot going on at the Indiana County District Attorney's Office, but we are glad that District Attorney Robert Manzi has joined us this morning here once again on Indiana in the Morning. Bob, good to get to talk to you for this segment. Thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me by.
All right. So as I understand, we were talking before we came on the air, and there are some staffing changes, some good changes, I'm assuming, then over at the office.
We do have some good change in. As your listeners know, Gina Ryan Force was elected to judge at a court of common pleas, and she'll be taking the bench in January. So, with her being a first assistant, that leaves a pretty wide opening there in our office. So what we do is we have a new first assistant that's going to be coming on at the end of the month. His name's Dennis Clark. Dennis is currently our only full-time ADA serving in the district attorney's office. He's a great attorney. He's former military, really spends a lot of time working with Gina Force in pretrials. So he's going to become our first assistant towards the end of the year. And traditionally, our office has been, in the past, the district attorney and 5 part-time attorneys. We've changed it around a little bit now. What we're going to have is we're going to have the district attorney, we're going to have 2 full-time attorneys and 2 part-time attorneys. So we have Dennis is going to be one of the full-time attorneys as the first assistant. Mm-hmm. And we have another attorney, Stephen Piskowski, who came into our office on Monday. He's actually in training with the Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association, but he's going to be another full-time attorney in our office then. And the nice part about having that staffing change is not only do we now have 2 full-time attorneys plus myself in the office, but budgetary-wise, it's actually less expensive to have the 2 full-time attorneys instead of having 5 part-time attorneys, because we're not paying for benefits for 5 attorneys, we're paying them for less.
Okay. So, and you mentioned that there's going to be 2 part-timers as well?
We'll still have 2 part-time attorneys. We'll have Jennifer Westrick, who's a part-time ADA since last year.
Okay.
And Tony Satil, who remain in the office.
All right, excellent. And the assistants do a lot of the work on their own. As you mentioned, Gina was probably one that had a lot of the trial experience. So I'm assuming Dennis is going to step up and he's going to start gaining a lot of experience as well with some of the cases that are coming through court.
He has. Gina and Dennis have been working together in pretrial motions for a number of years now, and Dennis has really taken over that role. He also, works in our trial unit. He'll be working with me on the homicide cases, so he'll continue with, that experience.
Many people may not know exactly what an assistant DA does. They know what the DA does. They see that because you're out in front there. But the assistant DAs, it sounds like they do a lot of the researching, a lot of the investigating as well, just as much as you do.
They do. Any of the assistants will have a number of jobs that we work inside the office. We have an attorney at district court every day of the week except Fridays. All our district courts go one day a week. So they'll be representing their Commonwealth in criminal cases at preliminary hearings. They'll be here at the Court of Common Pleas representing the Commonwealth in pleas and sentencings, motions, PFA violations, summary appeals. So they'll be doing a number of the work. They'll be working on research on cases as well as prepping cases for trial. All of my assistants have trial experience and will be working on trials.
How hard is it going to be, and this is just an opinion question here, how hard is it going to be to be taking care of a case and then seeing across the bench now a judge to be Gina Force sitting there? I bet you're proud of that fact that she won the election for judgeship.
I'm very proud, and one of the things that makes my job easy, for a number of years being an attorney, I've seen attorneys become judges, and it is a new relationship with them becoming judges. One of the things that most attorneys look for is simply judges that are going to call balls and strikes. It makes our job easier if we know the judges follow the law and are going to enforce that law. It simply makes our job easy. If you have a judge that goes off the rail and kind of does things that are not on the books, it only creates more work for us.
Right. So, and I've always said it, the judge is essentially the umpire or the referee of a court case. They make sure that everything is followed by the book, by the letter, and procedures followed. So, yeah, I think this is going to be great with her being promoted. But Dennis Clark also sounds like a very capable gentleman to take over as the first assistant DA. Let's go ahead and switch topics now because you and I, again, we were talking off mic, and you'd mentioned somewhat of a disturbing statistic about overdoses in our area,
Yeah.
and it sounds like that they were on the increase for the past 12 months.
Over the last year, statistics came out, and in the last year, we've had more overdoses and more those deaths in our country, in America,
Mm-hmm.
than we had any other year. And I know that with the pandemic and with the increase of fentanyl, that was something that a lot of the experts in the field anticipated. With the pandemic going on, people are being less connected to each other. Some people are facing drug and alcohol addiction on their own when they
Mm-hmm.
don't have some resources that they had in the past. And unfortunately, we're really seeing an uptick in that.
Yeah.
So we want to really encourage folks who are battling those issues that there are services out there that are still going on through the Open Door, through the Guidance Center, through our Drug and Alcohol Commission, to keep on fighting the good fight and to reach out when they need help. We certainly don't want to see anybody be in that position.
And many of those services are starting to come back into effect now that some of the restrictions are being eased as far as the pandemic is concerned.
They are, and a lot of it is, not only are they coming back, they've remained in some facet or another.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're coming back more. They're coming back with more staff. Just like a lot of other businesses, they're battling through with how to provide their services and provide it safely for everyone. But it is important that, we simply don't let the excuse of, well, there's a pandemic, I don't really need to go look for these services that are not around. The services are out there. We have really good people, especially in our county, working in drug and alcohol addiction treatment and mental health treatment. It's out there. If people need resources, they can certainly call my office. They can call the other facilities that we said, because we want people to know that it's important to address their treatment. There's professionals out there that'll help them do that. We simply don't want to see people become another statistic.
Yeah, definitely. And the very serious topic here, because of the fact we keep seeing it going up and up and up. Have you seen any of the statistics for Indiana County as far as the number of overdoses is concerned, or is that yet to be released?
That's yet to be released that I'm aware of. I think we're still seeing pretty steady numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we're able to react to those situations quickly and save people where they're not overdosing and dying.
Right. Delivery of Narcan in those cases by the paramedics, I would say, or other people who carry it.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it be the paramedics, whether it be the police, whether it be a great number of professionals, we're able to save people and hopefully get them into treatment so they're not back in that situation.
You're listening to Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. I'm Josh Whittison, and I'm talking with Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi this morning. Big case that just came through the courts, and it was sentenced yesterday. It was the case of David Henry. 3 to 6 in state prison, consecutive terms, but they will be added on to his sentence. And this is for the assault of 2 corrections officers over at SCI Pine Grove. Yes. You have a lot of respect for the corrections officers and for the law enforcement agency. So it sounded like whenever you took on this case, you kind of took it. It's kind of like a personal attack in some ways. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just I'm saying you have a lot of respect for those people.
I have a lot of respect for our corrections officers, for our law enforcement, our EMS workers, our firefighters. These are the individuals that take on the duty of running towards the danger. Mm-hmm. God forbid something happens bad at our house, we're going to pick up the phone, we're going to call 911, we're going to ask one of those individuals to come and protect us. So when you have people, in particular, people who are attacking anybody who's providing services to our county, our corrections officers, I do take it personal because they deserve our protection. They deserve that my office stands up for them mm-hmm. and says what they do is wrong. All too much I hear individuals say, well, if you take on a job as a police officer or if you take on a job as a corrections officer, that's part of the job. And I hear people say that almost in a way of excusing it. Like, mm-hmm. well, it's part of the job, so you got to expect it.
Right.
It's part of the job in that they may face it, but under no circumstances is it acceptable.
Right. Or should it be expected on a daily basis?
Absolutely.
In those cases. I mean, got to understand my experience goes back to television, so I heard similar sentiments on some of the classic police shows, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, again, it should never be a daily or even an often occurrence that things like that should happen. People should be able to remain safe no matter what job they do.
Absolutely. Everybody deserves to go to work, to earn their living, to provide the service that they provide, and to go home safely to their family.
We'll go ahead and just give you again to our listeners just a recap of the case itself. Back in 2020, some corrections officers were going through his cell, removing items that he was not allowed to have in his cell at the time. That's when he threw scalding hot liquid on 2 corrections officers. The officers were able to get him out of his cell, and he pleaded guilty to both of those charges September 7th of this year. So that was a pretty thorough investigation, though, by state police out of the Indiana barracks to take care of this. They're the main investigating body that takes care of anything that goes on at the state correctional facility.
Yes, correct. What will happen is anything that happens at the state correctional facility or county jail, because of where it's located, the state police will go out. They complete their investigations, provide, gather all the information so that we're able to properly prosecute those cases.
Anything big coming up on the horizon for the DA's office?
One of the things that we have coming up, our drug task force is constantly working.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll hear people ask me, well, I haven't seen anything come up in the news. And I always tell people they're always working. And sometimes when you don't hear them, you can expect to hear something in the future from them.
Okay.
They're always out there. They're always out there working. We're always utilizing confidential informants. We're always utilizing information from the community to be able to put together good cases. Our goal is that people stop dealing drugs here in Indiana County. Now, I know that may be a lofty goal. It might be unrealistic. But, when people, we're going to arrest people, we're going to prosecute people. And, if somebody else wants to take their position when individual 1 goes to jail, we're going to go after individual 2. And we're going to keep going after them.
Yeah, making Indiana County inhospitable for drug dealers.
That's exactly the goal. Our goal is that drug dealers hopefully say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to continue to do it, maybe they do it somewhere else. But we want to catch them. We want to send them up to prison. And one of the other things that we want to address, too, is there are individuals who are dealing with drug addictions, and they come into the criminal justice system early on. One of the things that truly works, and I'm a big research person. I like to find programs that work, not just something that sounds good.
Yeah.
One of the programs that work is early intervention. And we have a new program that's going to be running out on January 1st. True first-time offenders, their first time ever in the criminal justice system for a drug and alcohol-related matter. We teamed up with the Drug and Alcohol Commission. We were able to get some grant funding. And what we're going to do is get them into treatment very early on. We're talking weeks after arrest.
Mm-hmm.
We want them in treatment. We want them to address whatever it is they need to address as a diversion program, with the goal of them never coming back into the criminal justice system.
Kind of that warm handoff that we've been hearing about so much, I think, when it comes to helping people getting over their addictions.
Absolutely. And the research shows the earlier on that it happens, the quicker it happens, the more accurate the diagnosis, and the better the treatment, that you're able to divert those people from what could be a lengthy, livelihood in the criminal justice system. We want the people that come in, we want to help them address their addiction issue. We want to, help them address the drugs and alcohol very early on. Our goal is I don't want new cases. So
Right.
If we're able to help them, it'll save money for the taxpayers in the long term, and it'll help that individual lead a better life.
We're just at the mark. Thanks again very much, Bob, for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bob Manzi, Indiana County District Attorney, joining us this morning on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Here's the CBS Sports Minute.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute.